forget what you've heard about Vietnam. Let's find out what it's really like.
Imagine an economy that, in the span of a few decades, catapulted from one of the poorest in Asia to a growth rate of 8.02% in 2022, outpacing even the giants of India and China. This isn't a hypothetical scenario, it's the reality of Vietnam. With a GDP per capita that increased nearly tenfold from under $300 in the 1980s to $2,800 in 2020.
What's up there, niece and nephew? It's your big uncle. I'm here with my nephew. He is from Europe, the European Union. He's from the Czech Republic, because I can't pronounce the way they want me to call it now. But basically, he came out to Vietnam. He wanted to be a teacher. And today we're going to hear a little bit about his story. He was one of our clients. And we're going to kind of go along on a little journey and kind of see what his path was from the Czech Republic to teaching in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. So I want to introduce him today as my nephew. So he wants to be anonymous because obviously there's going to be some details discussed today that he may not want public. You guys can tell from the name of the video that the homie, he doesn't have a degree, and he was still able to come to Vietnam and get himself set up teaching English with our help. So I guess I'm going to ask is, like, tell us a little bit about, like, where you're from and, like, what drew you to Vietnam.
Yeah, hey uncle, I'm happy to be here. So basically, a few years ago, we had this pen pal program at my school, and we exchanged letters with different nationalities, and I ended up with a Vietnamese girl. So we started exchanging letters, and then we started visiting each other, and it grew to be a relationship. So after a few years, we decided to stay in Europe together. She moved. She was in the university in Frankfurt, but then COVID happened and all sorts of shit happened. The visa situation, if you try to do it legally, the visa situation for Vietnamese in Europe is not very good. I mean, if you're from some African country, you can get visa right away, but if you try to do it the right way, it's not easy at all. So she got not deported, but the visa got canceled. So yeah, after some more thinking, I decided to come to Vietnam. But after some small research, I figured out without a degree, I can't do anything because all the other positions are for Vietnamese, basically. So the only thing I could do was teaching English. But I figured out I need a degree for that too. So I got a little bit depressed and started searching YouTube, and I came across one of your videos, teaching English in Vietnam without a degree. It was, I think, from 2016. Contacted you just a few days later, and that's how I started.
So it's interesting because I used to have an older channel. I don't know, did you know me from the original channel, The White Monkey, or did you know me from Reborn Abroad?
Reborn Abroad.
Okay, Reborn Abroad, a lot of those early videos were the ones we were able to salvage from the old channel. So, we got taken down due to censorship. We were just posting a video actually of a cockfight in Laos, which is a very normal part of their culture. And there is the same exact content all over their platform. There's videos by Vice that are like 40 minutes long of cockfights in the Philippines, but they took down my channel over that. So then, we've started the new channel, and we've had to kind of clean up our act a little bit better. And now we know we're supposed to self-censor. So we're also on Rumble, guys. So if you want to see some of our unedited stuff, we're going to always post that on Rumble and on Locals. So you guys can check that out. And I don't have a specific political affiliation, but these are the platforms that don't censor me. So we put the stuff up on there that isn't censored. And I want to remind you guys that this video is brought to you by Safetywing. What's up, guys? I'm in Mysore, India. I'm chilling with this cow here. If this cow were to give me mad cow disease, I would want to have health insurance. And if you're going to live as an expat, you're going to want to have health insurance too. He's either biting me or licking me. He's licking me. Aw, hello.
It's so cute.
See, if I get sick from touching this cow, I want to have health insurance, right? So Safetywing is a good health insurance for people like me who travel around the world and live in interesting places. I'm covered. If I get sick in India, at least I got health insurance. Safetywing is designed for people who move around and who travel, so it's the perfect health insurance for people who live our kind of lifestyle.
Now, back to the mathematics. So I know that Czech Republic, right? They had a long relationship with Vietnam. Because I've met people from Czech Republic that were like Vietnamese, but lived in the Czech Republic.
I think there was like one of the biggest communities of Vietnamese in Europe, because back then when Czech Republic was still under SSSR, like under Russians after the war, we kind of had like exchange programs. So they sent Vietnamese students to learn a trade in Czech Republic and then send them back, etc., etc. Yeah, so there is a like long-lasting relationship between those two countries.
So that's interesting. And I think that's something that a lot of the viewers probably wouldn't know, that there is this long historical relationship between, Czech Republic and Vietnam. So I find it interesting myself. I could see how, like you said, you were involved in a pen pal program. One thing led to the next. Now you're in a relationship. You're trying to make it work. And you get to Vietnam. And after working with us, everything went well. Tell me about the situation. How did it all play out?
Well, honestly, I was expecting I even scheduled like tens, hundreds interviews maybe. Like I texted so many people. But my first interview, I landed a job.
That's awesome. And these were all from our network, right?
All from your network.
And you had a job immediately. Doing what? What kind of teaching are you doing?
Public schools and some centers in the afternoons. That's a solid mix. I think everybody who's thinking about teaching should do that to begin with, like before you start doing something bigger, maybe. So recently I got in with a company that does English workshops for little kiddos, for teenager adults. And sometimes we have like a checkup from educational department. So there's a lot of higher ups attending. So it's kind of funny, because after every workshop, they're just like, oh, such a good job. Oh my God, it was great. I can really tell you're a great teacher. You have I can tell you have so much practice. Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's because you're younger and you're white.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's the thing about Vietnam. They are kind of racist, I guess.
Bro, the whole world is racist. It's just only the white people that get blamed for it.
Yeah, I guess so. So, for example, I have a colleague. She's from Brazil. Master's degree in educational psychology and everything. I don't know how many certificates she got. But still, she's getting paid like 50,000 VND less than me.
Right. And that's not bad. If she was Nigerian, they would most serious places wouldn't even hire them. They'd end up in a province, and then basically they'd be chasing around the Vietnamese to try to get paid like maybe $600 a month or something like this. So it's there is like a sliding scale. Like if you're from Brazil, it's definitely better than if you're from like someplace in Africa,
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, still 600 US for Ho Chi Minh City, it's pretty bad right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be starvation. But that's the thing. The Vietnamese don't want them. They're very selective about who they want. They want native speaker, and if they can't have native speaker, they'll settle for white European. Sometimes Filipino.
There's a lot of Filipino teachers, but they get paid peanuts, nothing.
Yeah, and also with Indian, it's the same. They pay them a lot less. But it kind of depends, because I have met Indians that were like highly qualified, and it was hard for them to get a job, but eventually they did get a job, and it was okay. So, I mean, I think the Asian nationalities are better than like the African nationalities in the Middle East. Like those are really hard, even to sometimes get them the tourist visa to come into the country.
I mean, it's kind of sad, but it is what it is, right? Like when in Rome, do as Romans do. Like it's their business, not yours.
It's their country, and I don't remember Vietnam's government asking me my opinion on it. So,
I mean, they don't have to employ you, right? It's their choice, not a must.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a social welfare program coming to Asia to teach English, right? Like this is an industry that the Vietnamese, for whatever reason, and that's their business, what the reason is, they have decided that English teachers fit a certain profile, right? And that's the profile they're willing to pay for. But because it's Asia and the market is enormous, there is like little gigs for the less desirable. So like even if you're like a white dude, but you're fat and you're old, like you lose points, like you slide
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
down. So it's also not just about the skin color, or the nationality, but it's also about like the superficial things, like does the employers think you're handsome? Do the kids think you're handsome? It's this kind of thing.
Exactly. Like in one of my primary schools, I used to thought, not anymore because some internal problems, they even have like a files for the foreign teachers, like weight, height, if he's handsome, if she's pretty, how does the kids react?
Yep. It looks like chaos, but the Vietnamese keep records, and it's about the things they care about, the things that they feel can make them money. Because like the first mistake I think a lot of teachers make, and this is regardless of if they have a degree or they don't have a degree, is they're approaching it from like an emotional place and not from like a business kind of mindset. Like you have to look at teaching English in Asia like a business, because that's literally how everybody looks at it. That's how the
Yeah.
employer does.
For the centers, you are basically like walking commercial. So sometimes they even ask me, can you just hang out around like a main area? So the parents and all the people that go around can see you. Just wave at them, talk with the kids. We'll pay you your normal tax. It's okay. Just stay here and just do whatever you want.
And that's a good center, because some of them will try to get you to do that shit for free. I've definitely had people try that with me over the years. It's nice that they're offering to pay. So you really you landed okay.
They did try that, but I used your advice. I didn't give them anything for free.
Good. Nothing is free.
You can always strike a deal with them. They're businessmen, basically. So it's always about like quid pro quo, right? So
Yeah. Okay. So everything is basically about money, guys. Everything in Vietnam is kind of is transactional in a lot of ways, right? Now, that's not saying there isn't good people. There's some really solid people in Vietnam, and like, you know, my nephew here, he turned out pretty okay. Like he landed on his feet working with us. The risk you have is that because the market is so big, guys, and there's just so many training centers and so many recruiters that are trying to staff for public schools, like it becomes almost like I don't want to say like an illicit business, but it has that sort of energy to it. It feels more like you're selling human flesh than you are like helping teachers find jobs.
yeah, lately I feel the market is a little bit oversaturated. Like the rates for teaching are going down because when I asked my girlfriend about my rate, she said it's too low because she remembers when she was little, like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, her parents paid for a private center, and the teacher got paid like 900,000 VND, 800,000 VND per hour, and that was a normal going rate back then.
I mean, I don't know if where she was going, because that's like, I was in Vietnam like pretty much about 7 years ago, and then from there on, right, for a number of years.
It might be longer, like I might not remember correctly, but yeah, she said that.
Because that's a lot of money. Like that's like when I was there, that would be like if you worked for British Council.
She said a center, so I don't really know. No, doesn't
It
matter.
must have been way longer ago. But yeah, I agree with you though that it's become saturated, because I think there's so many people out there that are looking to get out of the West for like a million different reasons, right? And like, more and more, doing some English teaching while you try to get your life together becomes really attractive. And I think I'm really set in the right place for this, because I think more and more people are looking to get out of the West, and they're just kind of fed up with the way the culture is going, things in the society. And Vietnam, it's not a paradise, but for a foreigner, it's a lot different than for a local. Would you agree?
Totally. Like it's like a different world. Just recently, my father came to visit. He was flabbergasted. He couldn't comprehend anything. Just the ride home from the airport, eyes open like this, like two light bulbs, and why are they honking so much? It's like, I don't know, like if you honk, you can go.
It is a huge culture shock.
Yeah, like if you never came in contact with Asian culture, it's going to be a huge shocker for you.
And that's one of the things that I think like made me be able to have a service was that I spent so much time dealing with Vietnamese people, but dealing with them to the tune of like a lot of money, especially over the time of the pandemic, you know, and I learned a lot about business culture, about how to work with them, about what you can get away with and what you can't. And now we do business consulting, but we still help teachers because it's how I originally got my start, was helping people find teaching jobs. Now, tell us about your credentials. Like, you don't have a degree, right? Did you ever teach before that?
I did thought before that in Germany, not in public schooling, but like centers, English centers, just for about 2 or 3 months, not that long. Yeah, so in Europe, in most of the countries, in high school, you will learn a certain thing. Like we don't have like a general knowledge, but for example, you have a high school for IT, architecture, I don't know what else, machinery, whatever. Like, so after finishing high school in Europe, it's basically something like associate degree from US, not a bachelor. No, no, no. So if you choose a field and you're quite smart about it, you can go work right after high school in a specific field. So you can be a programmer, you can be architect, whatever. Even a nurse.
Interesting.
So it streamlines like an apprentice process, basically.
Yeah, something like that.
That's amazing. That's way better than in the United States. That's for sure.
I did programming and telecommunications. I did work in my field for a few years, but it wasn't that profitable. So, yeah.
Yeah, I see. And now you're trying the English thing. And how is your lifestyle doing the English thing, doing the teacher?
Oh, I would say better than in Europe. I have a lot more spending money to go around. And you see, in Europe, in most of the cities at least, after 10 p.m., everything is dead.
Okay.
The shops will close, the restaurants will close. The only thing that's open is gas station. In Vietnam, it's something completely different. If you go to D1, no matter the time, there is something open. Bars, cafes, convenience stores. So it's just different.
So this is night and day for you, like from where you're coming from to Saigon, to Ho Chi Minh City.
Yeah. I'm from the biggest city in Czech Republic. I'm from Prague. I'm from the capital. So the capital has 1 million, around 1 million people. So 1 million people city in Vietnam is considered a small city.
Oh, I lived in Tirana, Albania. They're about 1 million, so I can easily in my head see the size. Yeah.
Yeah. So compared to Saigon, which has like 10 million.
More, I think.
Yeah, but the whole Czech Republic has 10, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I crammed all my country in one city. So
because if you think about it, right, like you have people who commute from as far as the Mekong Delta, the Central Highlands to come into Ho Chi Minh City every day.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. I don't understand how can they do the commute every single day.
The distances just in the city, let alone leaving the city, but just going from like District 7 to District like 2. Can you imagine? Even with the bridge.
Yeah, it was like 30, 40 minutes easy.
Yeah, Saigon it's a cool city, but the distances, that was the thing I couldn't take after a while, is like so much distance. I went to Phnom Penh and everything was so small and quaint. And I would always laugh at the people who are like, oh, Phnom Penh's a big, dirty city. I'm like, you don't even have a clue. Idea. And now I'm in India.
Yeah, how is that?
India's amazing, bro. This place is crazy. It's just like I'm in a city called Mysore, and Mysore is a lot like what I would say Chiang Mai was, but like 30 years ago.
Oh.
But much more interesting and more ancient and like more hectic and more crazy and less developed, and there's power outages, but the food is like the best food I've ever eaten, and it's super, super cheap. It's like $1 to $2 for like, fucking cheese omelets and like pancakes and fucking Indian food, Chinese food. You can get anything. It's very inexpensive. I'm feeding 2 people for about $7 on average.
That sounds good. In Saigon right now, the prices went up a little bit.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you're paying now for food and for stuff like that.
Yeah, so before I came here to teach, I used to visit. So every year I visited for 3 to 4 months. So we usually just rented some short-term apartment and just lived there. Yeah, so I could get away with paying like, I don't know, 2.5 million per month for food. And right now, not even 4 million will cover everything.
Wow, just for your food.
Just for the food, yeah.
My God, it's gone up. How is electricity?
It depends where you live.
Of course, yeah.
We are kind of lucky because her uncle got us some deal. So we're paying the normal price, the normal Vietnamese citizen price. So we're paying like 1.5 thousand VND per kilowatt.
You can actually get that price if you just rent a condo, right? Service departments are the ones that raise that price. If you rent directly from like an owner of a condo, you usually get the government rate.
Yeah, so I know about people that are paying like 10,000, 12,000, 20,000 VND per kilowatt, which is crazy.
Cambodia is like double that.
Really?
Oh, power is way more because they buy all their power from Vietnam. So Vietnam actually has relatively cheap power for the region.
Well, I've heard Cambodia right now, they're building something on the river, right? So
they're damming the Mekong, and it's creating massive problems in Vietnam for fresh water. And
I mean, Vietnam has problems with fresh water already, so.
Yeah. So guys, I don't want you to think you're coming into some paradise here. It's important that we talk about the good things and the bad things, and that you guys get a clear picture,
No, absolutely. Like before that, when I used to come here, right now I'm saying I used to have tourist glasses. Like whenever you're a tourist or just a holiday in some country, you see everything. It's nice. So it's so warm here. The food is great. The girls are pretty. You don't think bad about a place, but once you start living there, you start seeing the shit happening around you.
The reality.
Yeah, the filth, the pollution, the behavior towards kids, and just it's not a paradise.
No. But it is a good place to make a few bucks and figure your life out.
I mean, if you mind your own business, it's okay for you. Nothing's going to happen to you. But once you start to kind of tell the people what they should do, how they should behave, how they should raise their kids, you're in a big trouble.
Yeah, it's better. And I've always said this to people who are looking to teach. It's better to view it as a business. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the video. The Vietnamese are going to view it as a business. You're not here to save the kids. You're not here to give them a proper British education. You're here to fill a role. So shut the fuck up and just be happy. You're making way more money than the local people are. You're making more money than nurses, than teachers from non-native speaking countries. So, I say don't make waves and don't try to change Vietnam, because I assure you, Vietnam will not be the one who changes.
No, absolutely. But I mean, if you have a class and there are a few, let's say, special students, let's say in my class, I had a deaf girl and a boy with some form of autism.
I had autistic kids too.
Yeah. And the teacher, I asked the teacher, like the teacher's assistant, what's wrong with them? And she just said, "Oh, they dumb, they stupid, they retarded. Yeah. Don't pay attention."
Yeah.
I'm just like, she's just deaf. She's not retarded. Like,
right. What's wrong with you? What?
So they don't fully understand that yet, but it's changing slowly.
No, it's getting there. The younger people are a bit better. Like I had a TA that was young, and I had a kid who was very autistic, and like I had a class of like 60 kids, and they were mostly good kids, but they would get wild because there was like, if you didn't engage the whole class constantly in the game. And this one kid who was autistic, he was like needed my attention the entire time. Like he was like on me, you know what I mean? And he's a nice kid. I didn't want to hurt the kid's feelings, but I also had like 50, 60 kids I was trying to keep in, you know, playing the game so shit doesn't lose control, you know?
Yeah, with this autistic kid I had, they even had to change my TA for the classes because whenever the boy saw the TA, he started throwing a tantrum.
Oh,
He
I
was
see.
Punching around, screaming. But once the TA disappeared, he was completely okay. Nice kid, even. Turns out, because the TA is their homeroom teacher, he used to hit the kid a lot. So the kid had like
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Probably hit him while holding the megaphone and screaming at him.
Yeah, with a big
Vietnamese.
ruler.
Yeah, the big piece of wood sometimes. Just fucking, it's not, I don't even know if it's a ruler. It's just like a big stick. Yeah, you know? But I had a TA who was younger and she was a lot more cool about that, like with the kids and stuff, you know? Like the autistic kid, she thought it was kind of like, oh, he's cute and it's cute that you don't get mad and da-da-da. She, you know, she liked that. But I have seen what you're talking about. I have seen where they're like, oh, don't mind them, they're stupid. Or I seen one where a kid got the answer wrong and the TA, who was also his teacher, smacked him in the fucking head for getting the answer wrong.
I had that too.
Turns out that happened because the mom pays money to the TA for like the side hustle where she teaches them like math or some shit at her house. She's like running a training center.
That happens so much actually that right now I think there is a law that forbids primary teachers from having like extra classes with the students.
Yeah, I'm sure that's enforced.
Like everything in Vietnam.
Yeah, when it's expedient, when it works, it's enforced hard. Some things are being enforced really hard. I got to tell you, I don't know how many more years people are going to even be able to get hired as teachers without degrees because, and I'm not going to, you know, people say, oh, it sounds like you're saying it's going to be next year. I'm not saying it's going to be next year. I don't know when it's going to be. But I've seen the government start going after taxation, making it harder for these companies to pay in cash. I see them making the foreigners on the tourist visas leave Vietnam in order to reapply for the tourist visa before they re-enter. You know, so there's right now the Vietnamese government is having a lot of financial problems. They just arrested the head of the labor department. So, you know, that dude's being investigated. Like,
if someone steals like 8% of your GDP, I bet you're going to have some financial problems.
Yeah, and I mean that's just the big one you hear about, but like the ones people who are, you know, not really up on what's going on in Vietnam, they don't hear about like the head of the labor department getting investigated. And you know, the thing with that is that who do you think gets you your work permit without a degree? It's the labor department, right? And how do you think your company does that? Now, we're not going to go into details here, but I think if you use your noggin, you can imagine why this is a bit of a problem for English teachers. But you know, at the moment, the e-visa is a pretty easy way to slip in and out. So, I mean, and you know, as of now, it seems like they're letting people stay. They are making them go through cross the border before they apply, but there's ways, you know, we working with agents, and if you're working with us, we got people who get your visa right away, stuff like that. But I feel like there's a serious effort from the government to try to regulate these type of industries and these type of government ministries like labor. Now, whether or not it's going to be successful is another question, but like certainly there is a push for that.
Yeah, I think we just have like few more years, but after that it's going to be close to impossible. It is what it is. I mean, you are basically doing something illegal, sort of, right? So you can't expect the loophole to stay open forever. It's just a normal thing. That's what I say to everyone who came here to visit me and they ask me, oh, can I ride a motorcycle in here? I'm just like, yeah, you can. Well, but I don't have a driver license. Is that okay? I mean, just ask you this question. In your country, would you be okay with someone driving there without a license?
Right.
Just because most of the people get away with it doesn't mean you can get away with it. Then they're crying on Facebook, oh, I got pulled over, I had to pay like 5 million. 5 million is still good, man. How much would you have to pay if it happened in your country?
And honestly, if they were there longer, they wouldn't be paying 5 million. That's like they know they got them and they know they're scared or something, because like you if you speak a little bit of Vietnamese, you can literally be like, yo, uncle, yo, I know the prices, uncle, you know, like and
Yeah.
a lot of times they'll laugh at you and they'll just say, yeah, and they'll maybe you'll pay 1 million or so, not 5-6 million. I mean, that's like they got you. But I heard that some of them be demanding it, like Moyne is very famous for that. Like the cops set up these drag nets and then they ask for like crazy numbers for stupid things like driving without a helmet or, you know.
Yeah, because Moyne right now is full of Russians, right? So it's a free real estate. Let me say this. If you're thinking of coming here to teach, don't come here if you're broke. Always bring some money with you. I would say at least like 4,000, 5,000 US at least, and get an insurance. Like one of the first thing you should get is an insurance. I can't stress this enough because the first few months in here, you're going to be sick a lot.
I warned you.
You did? Yeah, it was right. Pneumonia, infections, respiratory infections, like high fevers. I don't even know what I had most of the time. I just know I felt like shit. And the thing is, because you're working with kids, once you get better, someone in the classroom will start to cough. Here we go again.
And
So,
there'll
yeah.
be like maybe 1 bar of soap for 300 kids in a school.
Oh yeah, they don't even bother with soap nowadays. Don't worry. They don't even wash their hands. And they're going to touch you.
A lot. High
Yeah,
five, teacher.
Yeah, high five, teacher. Teacher, come here. They're going to hug you, touch you, slap you, pull you. It's crazy. All with the unwashed hands full of, I don't know what, all the little germs and shit.
I got crazy sick. So I'm a big proponent of health insurance, and that's why we are sponsored in this video by Safetywing. You know, one of the reasons I felt good about them is that they're a nomad insurance. So it's a good insurance for you guys to start with when you first land somewhere. So you can check out the link in the description below. And then once you're in the country for a while, you can find domestic health insurance also. Like I was using a Vietnamese health insurance and I got really sick and we had to pay up front, but we were refunded for a lot of the costs of being in the hospital. And both me and Mish got sick and we both stayed at a hospital there in Phu Nhung, Saigon. You know, it's an area of Saigon. And they have a VIP floor. So we had like a good view, 24-hour nurse, and I was paying maybe like $120 a day.
I mean, it's not that expensive. It's not. This is not as expensive as Europe or US, but still, it can get into your money pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, big time. And you got to remember the language level is not going to be the same. Like it's going to like I had competent doctors and they were great really in terms of their ability, but they couldn't explain shit to me. It was really confusing. They did get eventually, usually they'd get in after like a day or so, somebody who spoke some English that could tell me something. But in Vietnam, the level of English is a lot lower than like in like Cambodia or even Thailand, really. And Thailand's fairly low. I think Vietnamese is probably the lowest level. The Vietnamese have probably the lowest level of English in Southeast Asia, I would probably venture to say.
Yeah, compared to Thailand for sure. Cambodia, I can't really tell because I spent only 1 day in Cambodia.
Very good English. Very good, especially the young people.
Yeah, it's getting better with younger people in Ho Chi Minh City, at least. I don't know about the rural areas, but I don't think so. So yeah, it is what it is. But insurance is one of the best investments you can do, for sure.
How'd you find the healthcare system?
Oh, I actually got like an advice from my employer. Like I was having the interview and one of the first things she said was, do you have insurance? If not, do this and that, use this company.
Good person.
Because she had it happen to her that one of the teachers got very sick. He didn't have insurance and he was stuck with like 150 million VND bill and he couldn't pay.
Yeah. He's lucky they treated him because a lot of times they won't even treat you if you don't have the money.
Yeah, that's why on Facebook you can see the post. Oh, help me with this and that. I had an accident. I just want to go home. I mean, the insurance is not even such a big investment, right? How much is it? Like 40 US, 50 US dollars?
Not that
Yeah,
much.
you can get pretty good coverage for very, very little.
So yeah, don't come here broke. Have an insurance. Don't try to change anything. Just teach and go home or do whatever. Just don't interfere.
And if you're gonna come without a degree, you probably ought to do it sooner than later. I'm not putting a date on it, but that's, I think, the general sentiment. Would you agree?
Yeah, if you want to do it, just do it now. I think we still have like 4 to 5 years of this, but after that, I think it's the end game. So yeah, if you want to do it right now.
And you were happy with our service overall?
I'm very happy. Just even if you don't have a degree, don't get scammed. Like you still shouldn't get scammed because some of the employers they will try to scam you. They will make you pay like exuberant amount of monies. Just like one of them asked me for like 3,000 USD to get me TRC without a degree, which is crazy.
That's like double.
Yeah. I think I paid even less. I think I paid like 900.
Yeah, for the TRC it's 900. The work permit it's generally 1,500.
No, 900 altogether.
Well, that means they took care of some of that for you. So
Yeah,
that,
I guess
that employer was okay. Like sometimes the employer doesn't want to do shit for you, and that's just the offer you get. So like it's up to you, it's up to you to take it. But then like if you have better options, like you did obviously. So I think that feeds to your point. Like just because you don't have a degree, you clearly like got good offers like almost immediately.
Yeah, I mean it helps that I'm from Europe. I'm white. I have blue eyes. So yeah.
Yeah, they like that shit.
They like that shit a lot.
You're like a Backstreet Boy.
Oh yeah, in some ways, yeah. Like I was even in commercials in here.
Yeah, I was in a music video, but it got taken down because it offended people. It was basically I was wrestling this Russian model while some Vietnamese girl was getting fanned on a giant throne, but it was mixing sexual themes with Vietnamese culture, and it offended the fuck out of people, and they took down the video. So I never was able to get a copy. Tell us about yours.
Just in the commercial for English Center.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
for the training center.
Yeah. Just stand here, do this, do that, look happy, look like you're thinking about something, stand here, point at this. Lots of pictures, just a short video and some short text. And I got like 6 million VND for that, so yeah.
I think I got something similar. I think it was like 7 million VND or something. It was something like that. I remember what happened was it was so dumb because I could have just been chilling at home, but like they told me, oh, come down here at this time. And then I ended up sitting in this fucking studio for like fucking hours. Luckily, back in the day, there was a food court that was in this place called like this. It was like the Saigon Circus or something. It was like not a real, it was like this nightlife thing they were trying to do. And they had inside of it, some nights they would have Vietnamese bingo. Have you ever seen Vietnamese bingo?
No, what is it?
It's insane, bro. It's got some dude up there. He's singing out the numbers like moat, 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 hi, hi, hi. And it's just like fucking music playing. It's like a theatrical thing. And motherfuckers are just playing bingo while this dude's out there saying like, moat, hi, moat, hi, dum.
If you don't like techno music, you better not come here.
Yeah, or karaoke.
Karaoke is oh my God. I can't even express how much I hate karaoke.
Or drunk driving. There's a lot of that. I guess there's a lot of that everywhere, but there's a lot of that.
I think recently they started crack on that a lot.
It's good. It's good. I'm glad to hear that. It's good.
The police officers, they got like a little cameras, like a little GoPros. So sometimes you can't even give them some coffee money. They just have to give you a fine. Yeah, like you said, like if you're thinking about teaching in Vietnam without a degree, just do it now.
Yeah, do it soon. Solidify your position while you still can.
Because I think the things are changing slowly, but they are changing.
Oh, no question. If you look at before the pandemic to now, I mean, night and day.
Yeah, back then it was impossible to pay anywhere with like a contactless credit card. And right now you're paying by Momo and everything just with your phone. And no one's betting an eye. Even like a street vendor has a QR code and you can pay him with your phone.
It's like Cambodia with ABA, or here in India, they have a lot of the scan to pay services. India, believe it or not, is another country where cash is disappearing. So, I will say this, guys, like in these countries, it is better to use scan to pay, because you as a foreigner in Vietnam, Cambodia, India, any of these countries, you're always going to get overcharged. There's always going to be some like leakage if like, he doesn't have exact change. When you're paying with the scan to pay, it's just the transaction of the exact amount that's owed. So I see why it's taken off in this part of the world, especially the rideshare apps. Like I would love to give a local Saigon driver my business, but half of them can't be trusted.
You will get overcharged a lot, actually. Pharmacies, I went to buy my medicine when I was sick, some antibiotics and ibuprofen and some other pills, and I paid like 430 for all. And I used that up, and in a few weeks, my girlfriend went out to buy me the medicine, the same shit, same amount, and she only paid 50.
That's all you got to know, bro. And that's why I say if you come into Southeast Asia, it's a nice lifestyle, but you're not coming to utopia, like it's not there is no perfect place, guys. Like, but that doesn't mean it's not worthwhile. Do you feel happier overall? Do you feel like your life has improved versus in Europe?
Well, I do hate the pollution. In that sort, I miss Europe. I miss like a more developed countries, because you can take a deep breath there, actually. But overall, yeah, I would say I'm a lot happier in here. Just like a general vibe is better.
Day-to-day life.
Day-to-day life, yeah. Like, no one's making you, like, how to say it? Back in Europe, they have like the certain ideologies they try to push on you, and no one's trying to do that in here. I would say that most people that live here are like live and let live. Like, if you don't fuck up with politics or anything like in that sort of manner, you're okay. No one's going to notice you. No one's going to give you any problems. Like, if you don't have like a political ambition, if you don't talk shit about the government on Facebook, you're okay. You can do anything.
And honestly, the Vietnamese government is far from perfect, but they're not the worst government for you to deal with as an expat. Like they go through periods where it can be difficult to work with them, but ultimately what they're trying to do, and I understand it, is they're trying to get capital to come to their country. And there's a bit of a push-pull happening. The Congress in Vietnam is younger people, and a lot of them are pushing to have Vietnam follow a Thailand model and really embrace tourism and make money through tourism. But the older guard and a lot of the people who are in immigration that would be responsible for all these foreigners are very much against it. So there's kind of a push-pull that's happening on whether or not they really want all these foreigners in Vietnam or not. And if they do want them in the country, they want them to bring a lot of capital, right? So we can help you guys set up companies without capital, but again, it's legal, but it's a gray area kind of thing, right? Like officially, you're supposed to put 130K into a Vietnamese bank account, but there are legal ways for a foreigner to obtain a company in Vietnam, a real company, not a shell company. And, there are these loopholes. So when people tell you, oh, there's no way you can work without a degree as a teacher, listen, you don't know Vietnamese law, and there's a lot of these guys who this is their whole business, is finding the little legal ways to still do something and work within the system. And of course, some people do things they shouldn't do and do things illegally too. But that doesn't mean that like necessarily it's impossible for you to get a work permit just because you don't have a degree. Do you have a work permit?
Yeah, I have a work permit, TRC, everything. Actually, I was kind of surprised because when to get like a work visa, you need to exit the country and re-enter again, right? Basically like a visa run.
It's a business visa. So there's no work visa for teachers really, unless it's less than a 1-year contract.
So yeah, I came here on tourist visa and I had to exit and enter to get the business visa, which they can turn into work permit and TRC. So I was filling out the form at the booth and at Mok Bai, the border crossing with Cambodia. And there was like a purpose of entry and future job. And I didn't know what to write down because I thought, they'll do some kind of shady shit, and I just didn't want to screw up anything. So I called the lady. I'm just like, hey, what should I write down? English teacher, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, English teacher, just like that. Yeah, no problem. I just wrote English teacher. Everything went well.
Yeah, of course, bro. Nobody gives a shit about some TEFL teacher. This is another thing. Like, I think a lot of people are gatekeepers, or they're just narcissistic and self-important, and they think that they're bigger than they are, or doing more than they are. Like the Vietnamese government is like trying to get its house in order in like a big way so that it can become more of like a developed country. And like it's hard to blame them for that. You know what I mean? So like you do have to think that like just because you're teaching in a training center without a degree or something, that anyone of any importance would actually give a fuck about you, at least at this stage. It's not China, right? Like it's still Southeast Asia. It's still pretty chill. It's still a nice place to be. Like just because things are getting more strict and things are changing, it doesn't mean that it's like the door is fully closed. It's not.
Yeah, at least for now, there is always a way around. And I mean, from your previous video, even China is possible even without a degree, but
Yep.
you kind of bordering the illegal sort of stuff because you can get kicked out at any time.
They may throw you in jail in China.
Yeah, like, but in here it's still possible to do it legally. Like even if the police check you, everything is okay. I had my share of police check actually, because in Vietnam you have to register yourself with the police. So if you move, let's say from District 1 to District 2, you have to re-register with District 2. You have to register your name to the address, and you have to give them the paper from the police department so they can register you. And sometimes they just come and check you. Like it happened to me during Christmas. Christmas morning comes, and there is a knock on the door. There are two police officers, TRC, everything, every document you have, passport. They come to check me. So it took like a half an hour. Everything was in order, and they just left. Yeah, that happened like three more times actually, because they trying to. It was the time when they crack up on the e-visa a lot, because people were always staying. So I think they were looking for the coffee money. It was before TED, so I think they were just looking for money.
Oh, no, 100%. I was going to say, guys, is that I think when you're from a developed country where there's some rule of law, like, this might seem odd to you, but like if you're in Vietnam around like big public holidays, that's when your chances of having like encounters like my friend here had increase a lot. Or if you're a business owner, that's when the checks are going to come and they're going to start looking for certificate. You have this certificate or this paperwork. It's all going to happen right around Tet holiday, probably starting from Christmas till Tet. That's going to be the time of the year that's going to be the most like nerve wracking.
And I mean, even if you decide not to teach here, if you decide to open a business, still, I think you need to pay off some certain people to be safe here. Because once you get a little bit success, there will be shark coming out because they smell blood, right? Start asking for money, and if you don't pay, it's not going to end well, let's say.
I've had clients who just don't understand that. Like we try to explain to them, and they're like, that's not part of the cost you told me. And I'm like, bro, you're trying to open up a business in a provincial part of central Vietnam, and you don't think that the local authorities are going to come around looking, the best thing you can almost do is to go down there yourself and just make a generous offering, show respect, donate something to the police department like.
So actually one of my colleagues from the public school, she used to have an English center, right? But she was sick of paying off all the people around. So one day she decided to stop. And in 2 or 3 months, she was out of business because they start spreading rumors to her parents. They stop sending the kids to classes, and it's all like a house of cards.
Yeah. So you can't really play around, guys. Like, the thing is, there's rules in Vietnam. You just don't know what they are. And you as a foreigner, you don't have to, you get a little more tolerance, I would say, in a lot of respects than what the way the Vietnamese would be with each other. right? So you always have to keep that in mind and just kind of be grateful that you're in a good position. You have a strong passport. You have a, you're from a country that carries weight, like, because honestly, guys, life is pretty cheap in Vietnam. I saw one lady smash into like 10 people at a traffic light, and she didn't even go to jail, man. Eventually it just disappeared from the media and they stopped talking about it. And I guess she probably paid a lot of money to whoever, and then also to the families. So, I mean, don't get the idea that you're coming to this like perfect place, right? And just remember that it's different for you than it is for local people. So, like, for example, your teacher's aide, most of the time that's your actual, homeroom teacher for the kids, or their main teacher, right? And then that person may only be earning like $100, $200 a month, right? And you're coming in, and even as a white European, you're going to get, probably starting at like 1,500 USD up to like 2,000 USD, even as a non-native speaker, as long as you're like, from an EU country or something like this. So you are making much more than your TA. And like, I always found that I had the least amount of drama whenever I tried to make my TA happy. I almost feel like in many ways that's the job, more so to make the TA like you, the kids like you, than it is actually whether or not anybody learns English.
Oh yeah, for sure. Befriend your TA is the best asset you have because you don't speak Vietnamese, or I presume you don't speak Vietnamese. So anything you want to resolve in the school, it goes through your TA. So if you need days off, if you need to leave early, if you come late, your TA can cover for you. So for sure, befriend them. Sometimes it can be difficult because even though the TAs are usually the English teachers from the school, and even though they are English teachers, you can barely have like a normal conversation with them. So it can be difficult, but for example, when TED comes, if you bring like a red envelope with like 50 inside, they're going to be so happy. Bring a coffee to the class. Just do nice stuff in general. It's a good investment.
All right, guys. Well, I hope that was helpful. This is the story of a non-native speaker from Europe who came out with no degree, had success working with us, got on his feet in Southeast Asia. He's not naive. He doesn't think it's a paradise. He doesn't think, he's not living in fantasy land, but it works right for his lifestyle and for him and for what he wants right now. So that's all you can really ask for. And for those of you out there who are wondering if we're legitimate or not, that's one of the reasons I really like to make these videos, is so you can meet clients and you can see that we're still friends. We still have this relationship, and that, they came out with what they wanted to accomplish. And with our help, everything worked out the way they were hoping. So if you guys enjoyed this content, please smash the like button, share the videos, check out our merch section, guys, in the description below. We're selling Reborn Abroad shirts and like hoodies and stuff now. So brush your teeth and buy one. Yeah, we're doing our thing, guys. I'm in India with no electricity, so I'm going to wrap the video. Thank you for coming out there, nephew.
All right. Thank you for having me, Uncle.
Yo, you're a legend as always, and I'm happy that you're pursuing your dreams, brother. And guys, if you're thinking about pursuing your dreams and getting on your feet as a teacher is the way to start that journey, reach out to us because we have large network. We can help you in Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos. We don't do so much with the teaching in Thailand because the market is somewhat saturated. Like if you think Vietnam is saturated, Thailand is very saturated. But if you are like a highly qualified teacher, I do have connections there in international schools and those types of jobs. For the people who don't have degrees, generally I recommend Vietnam because you can still work in the gray area in some situations and the pay is much higher. Cost of living is lower than Cambodia. But Cambodia doesn't even officially require a degree. And we have a large network of expats and people and other teachers that we connect you with. So we can really help you guys get started. Our service is not for people who want, oh, are you going to guarantee me a job? And then they just put you in a corporate center. We give you the keys to the castle. We treat you like an adult. We tell you what you need to hear. We give you the advice you need to save you time, money, stress. And we put you into a network of HR people so that way you have a lot of different options. So that it's just not all about, oh, I got to just take whatever job I'm promised. It's like, you're going to get your chance to like really learn how the business works before you get involved in it. And I think that has a lot of value. Thank you for watching, guys. Subscribe and share. Stay in school. Eat your vegetables. Treat your mama right. And help us fight the algorithm. And guys, if you want to see some of our uncensored stuff, we did some recent videos on New Zealand, on Rumble and on Locals, where we talk about why I left New Zealand. And we talked to one of my friends who's still out there. I'm also originally from the States, so we're going to do more content with people from the States as well. Maybe we'll compare their lifestyle to my lifestyle and see who's doing better. So just look for lots more content. And guys, we're in India right now, so tons of content coming for the India stuff. Please check it out. Please definitely check out our shorts. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We got the fan page. Get a hold of us, guys. Thank you for watching. Stay in school. My power just came on. I am your biological father.
Brush your face and wash your teeth, son.
Hey, what's up? I'm D from Canada. Hook up with the New York Nomad if you want a smooth ride into Vietnam or any Southeast Asian countries.
Hey, my name is Aaron. Get in contact with the New York Nomads. If you want to get into Vietnam, hit them up. They'll get you in securely and professionally.
Yo, this is Uncle Hollywood. I'm telling you right now, the New York Nomad got me a job. He's legit. Hit him up. Check him out.
New York Nomad set me up in Vietnam.
Yo, my man got me a job. Come to Vietnam.
Hey, what's up, guys? You thinking about coming to Vietnam? You're not sure where to start. You've heard a lot of things online. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's not. We offer a consulting service where we help you get on your feet in Vietnam. We give you advice on negotiating contracts with employers. We help you with real estate agents, visa agents that are reliable and that you can trust. We help you get started in this amazing country and get on your feet. We help you get into different opportunities that might be more difficult for you if you were just landing in the country on your own. And we help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls and problems that you could have as a newcomer here. We provide you with reliable job recruiters, visa agents, real estate agents, and advice. If you guys are thinking about coming to Vietnam, hit us up for a consultation. We'll help you get started, help you get on your feet, and hopefully you'll love Vietnam as much as we do.